In the quiet corners of our cities, behind the well-manicured lawns and welcoming facades, lies a world many of us will one day inhabit but rarely discuss. A place where the vulnerable become voiceless, where the cries for help often go unheard. It's a realm where the very institutions meant to care for our elderly loved ones might be the ones exploiting them. Beneath the polished veneer, there's a hidden narrative, one of unchecked power, shadowy motives, and a system that often prioritizes profit over compassion. As the days turn to years, these establishments, which promise safety and care, sometimes harbor secrets that would send chills down our spines. Today, we'll dive deep into this world, uncovering the layers of deceit, power, and money that have turned sanctuaries into silent battlegrounds, and questioning the very essence of what it means to provide care. Welcome to Informative Insights, where we pull back the curtain on the intersections of money, power, and global events. If you're looking for the untold stories behind the headlines, you're in the right place. Remember, knowledge is power and insights inform. The 1700s saw European colonizers introduce almshouses to the Americas. These establishments, initially conceived as a refuge for the destitute, quickly became synonymous with neglect and despair. They were not the idyllic retirement homes we might imagine. Far from it. They were often overcrowded, underfunded, and rife with disease. The walls of these institutions bore witness to countless tales of suffering, as the elderly, the mentally ill, and the impoverished were lumped together, their individual needs often overlooked. As the decades rolled on, whispers of the conditions within these almshouses began to permeate society. Tales of malnutrition, lack of medical care, and even abuse became all too common. The public outcry grew louder, and society began to recognize the need for cleaner, more dignified facilities for the elderly. Thus, the concept of old age homes was born. These were envisioned as sanctuaries, places where the elderly could live out their twilight years in peace and comfort. However, history has a way of repeating itself. The optimism of the early days of old age homes was short-lived. The Great Depression, a period of unprecedented economic downturn, threw a wrench in the works. Poverty forced many back into the squalid conditions reminiscent of the old almshouses. Families, unable to bear the financial burden of caring for their elderly loved ones, had little choice but to place them in these underfunded and overcrowded institutions. Yet, this return to the dark days of elderly care was not just a mere blip in history. It set the stage for a series of events that would see the commodification of elderly care. As we'll see, this was just the beginning of a much larger, more intricate web, where the lines between care and commerce would become increasingly blurred. The plight of the elderly in almshouses was a stark reminder of society's failures. It was evident that a change was desperately needed. Enter Medicaid and Medicare, two groundbreaking programs that promised a brighter future for our aging population. These weren't just social welfare programs, they were beacons of hope. Designed meticulously, they aimed to ensure that every elderly individual, regardless of their financial standing, could access quality care. Suddenly, the elderly demographic, once relegated to the shadows, was thrust into the limelight. No longer were they just aging individuals in need of care. They represented a burgeoning market, a treasure trove worth billions. This shift was seismic. The healthcare industry took notice, and entrepreneurs saw an opportunity. The promise of consistent government payouts for elderly care was too lucrative to ignore. But with this newfound attention came a double-edged sword. On one hand, the influx of funds and interest led to the establishment of better facilities, research into geriatric care, and a general upliftment in the standards of elderly care. On the other hand, the very essence of care began to intertwine with commerce. The lines between genuine concern for the elderly and the allure of profit started to blur. And where there's money, there are always those looking to capitalize, sometimes at the expense of those they vowed to care for. Have you or someone you know had a personal experience with nursing homes? What was it like? We'd love to hear your stories and insights. Drop a comment below and join the conversation. Medicaid and Medicare weren't just safety nets, they were gold mines, sparking an unprecedented rush in the healthcare sector. As investors and entrepreneurs caught wind of the potential profits, the landscape of elderly care began to shift dramatically. The numbers were staggering, with growth rates in some sectors skyrocketing to an almost unbelievable 2,000%. It was clear that elderly care was no longer just about compassion. It was a booming industry with vast potential for returns. The next logical step in this evolution was to conglomerate. Large corporations, with their deep pockets and expansive resources, began to see the value in consolidating the market. They embarked on acquisition sprees, snapping up nursing homes like prized assets. In a short span, single entities owned dozens, if not hundreds, of these facilities. But this rapid expansion came at a cost. As these corporate portfolios ballooned, the intimate, personalized care that nursing homes were once known for began to diminish. The focus shifted from patient well-being to bed occupancy rates and profit margins. Oversight, once meticulous, became a Herculean task, often falling by the wayside. The once hallowed halls, which echoed with stories of recovery and care, slowly transformed into cold, profit-churning machines, where the bottom line often overshadowed the cries of its residents. Over the years, harrowing tales have emerged from these institutions, painting a grim picture of what was happening behind closed doors. Whispers turned into cries as stories of neglect, abuse, and even death began to surface. Elderly residents, once vibrant and full of life, were now mere shadows, their dignity stripped away in the very places meant to protect them. But as shocking as these revelations were, an even darker secret lurked beneath. Many of these nursing homes, while publicly decrying financial hardships and clamoring for more government aid, were engaged in clandestine financial maneuvers. They funneled vast sums of money to affiliated companies they owned, effectively siphoning off funds meant for patient care. This intricate web of financial transactions was carefully designed to be convoluted, making it difficult for regulators to trace the flow of money. It's a scheme eerily reminiscent of organized crime syndicates, where money circulates within a closed loop, shielded from external scrutiny. The very institutions entrusted with the care of our most vulnerable were now exploiting them, all while lining their pockets. The question that haunted many was, how could this happen? How could a system designed to care for the elderly become so corrupted, so devoid of empathy? The answer, as we'll uncover, lies in a complex interplay of greed, power, and a disturbing disregard for human dignity. While awareness has led to increased vigilance, the real solution lies deeper than just surface-level reforms. It's about reshaping our societal values and priorities. Generational wealth isn't just about amassing riches. It's about creating a legacy of care, understanding, and responsibility. It's about ensuring that families have the means to care for their elderly loved ones at home, in environments filled with love, respect, and familiarity. The idea of growing old in the comfort of one's home, surrounded by memories and loved ones, is a dream many aspire to. However, the harsh realities of economic disparities make it elusive for many. Yet, it's a dream worth striving for, to ensure that our twilight years are not spent in cold, impersonal rooms but in warmth, comfort, and the embrace of family. The world of nursing homes is a complex tapestry of history, money, and power. But at its core, it's a story about humanity, dignity, and the lengths some will go to exploit the vulnerable. It's a cautionary tale that reminds us of the fragility of trust and the importance of oversight. As we part ways today, let's not just be informed but be inspired to make a change. Share this story, ignite a spark, start a conversation. Let it be the catalyst for change. Together, let's envision and work towards a world where our elderly are not just cared for but cherished, where they are seen not as burdens but as treasured bearers of wisdom and history.